Don in London, hello. It's December 29th, 2009. 2 days to a new decade. And my video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My substance of addiction, alcohol. My behaviour, equally addictive. Work, relationships, striving for perfection, and never so. And the gift these days is to know striving is a good idea. Striving to enjoy life, have a life, find out who I am on a daily basis, just learning a little bit more about what is the truth of living. So, what was it like in addiction? 35 years, taking the edge off, trying to find conviviality, joyfulness, accessing my sadness, probably to extremes, simply because that's what booze did. It took me out of myself because I didn't know who I was, and there was a great big empty gap inside I never knew was supposed to be there, not to be filled with fear but to be filled with life experience. And of course it was filled with life experience of the things I thought I ought to be doing, things I thought I should be doing to look right, to put a brave face on, to cover up the gap inside which was full of fear with ego, and not tell people what was going on. Excuse me. And that led to a life of denial about who am I, by trying to be whatever it is I thought the world wanted me to be. And I never knew that people actually went out and tried to be themselves and to live life in a way which was helpful to personal growth, spiritual growth, emotional understanding of the ever-present moment of now. So it's been a difficult life, and I guess I'm a chip off the old block. My old man, my father, he had a difficult start, adopted, very difficult childhood, not too well, a war experience which shaped his attitudes and behaviour, one of which was to drink as much as he could, as often as he could, because that's what people did. So I followed him very early on, and in my early childhood life was difficult. Sometimes we were fairly well accommodated, and other times through bankruptcy and I suppose poor judgment, or just the luck of the draw, as we find in life today. It doesn't all go the way we might have wanted or wished, and so interestingly enough, roles were reversed. We helped my father stay alive a long time, and he was a very lonely person, because drink does that. Even though you're in company, it isolates and makes us unable to communicate our real feelings. And it was only in his last 3 months of life where he was able to examine what was going on. He was told he had 3 months to go, and he stopped drinking and smoking, and he started getting honest, and he shared from the heart. And I asked him, "Why have you stopped drinking, Dad?" And he said simply, "I have nothing to fear. I know what's going to happen." But he had remorse and regret and resentfulness about how life had turned out, and how he had turned out, and it was only in the cold light of day, as sober as can be, that he actually understood a little bit more about how much he cherished everyone around him, how he loved people around him, but the drink isolated him. And the reason why I relate this is because it did exactly the same thing to me. And for whatever reason, somehow I got to that moment of clarity which said, I cannot beat this addiction on my own, simply that. And family, friends, community, all helped keep me alive long enough to get there. And then came along the fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm now an absolute fan of AA. But along the way I hated the suggestion that I might find it beneficial, and I also found in my first meetings how rageful and resentful I was, to the point of going out drinking again for quite a while. I used to treat it as a training course and go on a Sunday morning to a meeting which was local to me, get completely rageful at all these happy people and go via the off license or the bar or the supermarket, buy a bottle of vodka, drink it, fall asleep, wake up later, still resentful, rageful, and very, very resentful against myself for not being able to stop, and buy more vodka and more and more and more. So these days, the Fellowship of AA is no longer a monster. It's not a cult. It's not full of dogma. It's just full of people who are unique, authentic, and find their path and the road to recovery. So when I look back at this year, it's been a really good year for personal growth. Loving people, being loved back, and being useful. And at the same time, really understanding that I am only now really understanding what it's like to live sober. And last night was a sleepless night. Don't know why, just was. No anxiety particularly. No anxiety. I was looking for some, but I hadn't got any. I just woke up and I couldn't sleep. So there you go. But AA, the fellowship, keeps me on track. And there's a statement of intent, and then I'll share a bit of the literature about what is going on. So AA, the preamble or statement of intent, goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And there are 12 steps of action which are available to individuals to take up and live. Principles in which we can live sober and have a happy life, or a sad life, as life affords, because it's not all a bed of roses. So the gift for me is I know who I am today. I'm Don in recovery, and life is working one day at a time. And later I've got tests at the hospital for other matters, but that's just the way it is. So daily reflections, this one for today, 29th of December. Therefore the joy of good living is the theme of AA's 12th step. AA is a joyful program. Even so, I occasionally balk at taking the necessary steps to move ahead, and find myself resisting the very actions that could bring about joy I want. I would not resist if those actions did not touch some vulnerable area of my life, an area that needs hope and fulfillment. Repeated exposure to joyfulness has a way of softening the hard outer edges of my ego. Therein lies the power of joyfulness, and to help all members of AA. And the gift of joyfulness is that we also get the gift of sadness, because we start to know the difference, and as we go along we find what is good for us and what is not good for us. And drink is not good for me. Obsession, trying to be perfect, covering up the fear. One of the greatest gifts and the greatest strengths is to know our vulnerability, to be ourselves, and that some people will like us and some people won't. And we don't need to put a brave face on anymore, and we can accept where we are, just as we are, without having to worry about what other people think. What a gift. So, at the end of these videos I will say the Serenity Prayer, which is to the God of your understanding, or your good conscience, or a higher power, or just an acceptance of where we are today. And that Serenity Prayer saves my life many times on a daily basis when I feel like acting out and taking a drink or something else. So to God or good conscience, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference is, for me, just for today.